Good morning and welcome to Zen Fits on a beautiful Tuesday in Blackstone, the center of the world, but then you too are at the center of the world. Well, yesterday I finished, while I was getting my Honda fixed, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And I'd read it way back when it first came out, and when we were notified that its author, Prig, or whatever his name is, died, I said, I better read that again. And I did. And oh, I got so much out of it now. Since I first read it, in the 60s, I don't know, 70s. When you, as you mature and you go back and read these classics, it's like seeing it for the first time. Because now you have gained so much awareness into your own life, into life itself, that when you go back, all this between the lines just opens up into this great expanse of understanding. So the thing that really hit me at the end of the book was not the book itself, but the postscript that the author wrote, because if you remember, the trip was about him and his son on a motorcycle trip, Chris. And then he wrote, after he finished the book, that a year after he wrote it, Chris was killed, that Chris died. And so he talked about the loss of his son as a pattern. Who was Chris but a pattern? And I got to thinking about that because my uncle Tommy, if you remember all my Martini Time talks, where is my uncle? Here. Here he is. So he was a man of, he came to live with us in these last 2 years of his life. He'd been paralyzed by a stroke. And, but he was a premier photographer in Tampa. But his life was a pattern. He was very careful of it, to maintain it. The places where he shopped and all of his watering holes and the quality of his work. And his whole life was a comfortable pattern. He was, oh, the weather is perfect here, and oh, look, I can take this to the camera developer, and boom, it's like that. They have it back to, everything was so easy for him, and he maintained it. He maintained this quality, but he was a pattern. He was a ritual person. In that, when you went down to see Tommy, we always felt we were going to be in Tommy's world, and we would go to the places he liked and did what he liked and talked about what he liked. And it was good, so that was okay. It was a nice world to visit. So when he came here, he brought his pattern here. So I've got little bits of his pattern all over the place, things he left, and his jokes, and some of his furniture, and there are pieces of Tommy's pattern everywhere. But where is Tommy, you see? So the pattern remains. For a while, I was in that pattern. I identified with it. I was wearing his shirts. You see, these were his, I forgot the Richards something shirts, but he would buy these shirts in St. Augustine, about $80 a pop. And he had a whole closet full of them, and he would wear them every day, use the same cologne. Every day, 5 o'clock, a martini. It was a very ritualized. It was like if you disturbed the ritual, you'd break the pattern. His life was good. If you disturb the ritual, you'll break the pattern. Bad things will happen. So he's very careful, you see. The only thing he didn't depend on, the only thing he didn't calculate, the only thing he didn't plan in his pattern was the stroke. Even Ram Dass didn't plan for a stroke. You see, so the stroke came, paralyzed his leg, couldn't walk, and he just quit. He said, "I'm ready to die. The pattern's gone. I can't maintain my pattern. I can't maintain my life now. So I'm ready to die." And so he did. So we brought him here for the last couple of years, but he was also saying, well, he was, 94th birthday. He said, "I won't be here for that." And he wasn't. But anyway, the pattern, you see. So I really I began meditating on the pattern. And what is the pattern? Now, I went into yoga in 1970 as therapy. I mean, I went into it, it was a spiritual path. I had a guru and a yoga teacher, enlightened yoga teacher, and it was the Light of Yoga Society, and it was created to train yoga teachers, the best teachers, spiritual teachers. It was kind of like a yogi seminary, going to create yogi ministers to go out and spread the good yoga word, you see, kind of like in that kind of a framework. And I was all for that. I was a frustrated minister. But anyway, my yoga teacher said, I was frustrated because I couldn't get into class. I couldn't feel like I was accepted. I couldn't feel like I was accepted I was always on the outside looking in. I was also trying to become a yoga teacher. What do I have to do? What do I have to do to become this dream, you see, to be a son of God? What do I have to do to be in the guru's favor? What do I have to do to be given credentials? What do I have to do to have authority? What do I have to do? You see, no, you're not ready. No, you're not ready, you see. So my yoga teacher said, well, you have inconsistencies in your lower nature. I love that. Inconsistencies in my lower nature. So what is that? Well, it's a pattern, an unconscious pattern. Now, a pattern is a wave, a sine wave, right? No, life is not like this. That's flatline. You're dead. When it's going like this, you're alive, you see. Boom, boom. The heartbeat. That's like a computer. 1 and 0, the two binary numbers that create the code. Boom, boom. You see, it's this, right? It's boom, something, and nothing, okay? It's not like just boom. If there was just the beat, there wouldn't be any beat. If there was just one thing, there wouldn't be anything. So everything is in a pattern. All form is movement. All movement is a pattern. It's not chaos, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see anything, including yourself. So there's a pattern to it. But you see, we're unconscious of the pattern. We can see other patterns, but we can't see our own pattern. It's kind of like the fish can't see the currents. If you're swimming in a riptide, you're trying to get to the shore, but you're going the other way, you're caught in a pattern. You're caught in the pattern of opposite forces. So a pattern is made up of opposite forces, and the pattern holds these polarities together. And it's the polarity being held together by the pattern that gives you the energy for your life. If you look at a battery, where's my battery? All right. Here's I use this all the time. Positive and negative. Peak and valley. Like that. But the battery holds the peaks together, and by containing the pattern, generates energy. Turn on your lights, you see. So this is a metaphor. So the pattern contains the opposites that generates the energy that drives us forward. Now, what happens in the world, what happens in our material world, we assume, without question, that things exist by themselves. It's like Andy Warhol's can of soup. Does that can of soup exist by itself, like a soup in the cosmos with nothing else but the soup? You see, if there was nothing but a can of soup, there would be nothing there, because you wouldn't be there either. You'd be the can of soup, So it's a black hole. It's a pattern. There's the soup and not soup. That's a pattern. So there's you and there's not you. So we are all patterns. You see, my uncle's a pattern. So he's as a fixed thing, he was never a fixed thing. And this was the realization of the Zen and the art of motorcycle thing. He realized that his son was a pattern, recognizable, loved, a part of their life, missed, but there was no fixed person. Nothing is fixed. You see, this is the core teaching of Buddhism. Everything is impermanent. So everything is a pattern. Everything is movement. There is no one fixed. Nothing is fixed. Everything is movement. So when we are fixed in our idea of a separate me, you see, well then it's from that fixed point that I can see patterns. Not realizing that I'm a pattern, that my life is a pattern. And so what happened? Look at art. Look at a pattern. You got to look at numbers. Look at numbers. You got 0, and you got positive numbers to infinity. Whoa, 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 whoa. And you got negative numbers. Whoa, to infinity. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And you got 0. If you add 5 positive numbers, there are going to be 5 negatives because life, the universe, is some 0. The universe is balanced. It's at 0. It's not going your way. It's 0. So whatever you do is going to be balanced with an opposite. But if we can't see that, so if I want to say, well, I just want to have up. I just want to have good things. I just want to be in a better place, no bad places. I just want to have pleasure, no unpleasantness. I just want to have life, no death. I just want to have up, no downs, no downs. So our culture is kind of like, well, you can have it. You can have up, no downs. Just buy this. You can have a better place. Just do this. Do this teacher. Go join this religion, whatever. The promise of a better place than the one we got. Why? Because we don't see the pattern. We've lost the 0, you see. So if I've lost the 0, then I've got to do something to fill the 0 with stuff. I've got to buy stuff, got to do stuff, got to add stuff, got to subtract, I got to do something, you see. So the more I do, creates the exact opposite. But then I don't see that. So the opposite comes at me like an obstacle, like an enemy, like somebody's against me, like bad luck, fate, whatever. Whatever comes at me at the world is myself. The other half of me, the negatives that are being added by the universe when I add positives, trying to get rid of the negatives. So the more negatives, you see the trap, you see it? Oh, I got a negative, I got to add more positives. Think positive. So, oh, I got 5 negatives. Well, I'm just going to add 10 positives. Now I got 10 negatives. What happened? How can that be? I struggle more. I get the opposites. The opposites follow me. The shadow follows me, you see. It's the pattern. I'm not seeing the pattern. So the whole point of Buddhism and Zen is 0. Zen is seeing the trap and stopping the effort to get out of the trap. And when we do that, we pause, we stop, we cease, we sit. 0 happens. And what's 0? Consciousness, awareness of the pattern. I'm still in the pattern, but now I'm aware of it. So I stop investing in it. I stop struggling with it. And I stop struggling. The strength of the pattern stops, you see. And then whatever I do is going to be a creative response to the changing, impermanent reality. Because I'm not there anymore as something fixed, trying to get out of the riptide. It's very Zen, very clear, very clear. So, anyway, thanks for dropping in and having this Zen fit with me today. I'm writing about this on my Facebook page. I also post this on my website, my blog, To Kill a Minotaur. And it's on YouTube. I'm all over. Thanks for dropping in. See you tomorrow.